Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Marco, once again. I'd like to talk to you today about opportunities when they come to performances and not knowing what's to come of them. This is kind of, it's not the fable, but it's a piece of wisdom. Never judge a book by its cover. I have a copy of The Lord of the Rings that I'm currently reading and having a great time with. And I accidentally broke it a little bit more, I think 2 nights ago. So it looks even worse than it was. Not that it was terrible, but it's just scrappy and torn, and I mean, it looks like it was from the time that The Lord of the Rings was set to exist in like the Middle Ages of that other universe. Point is, it's still a marvelous story. And so are performances. About over a year ago, there's a company that I carol with, and I've done it for a number of years. I have a good relationship with my boss through that company, and she referred me to a veterans home. And my boss, she was like, hey, they're looking for somebody to perform there for an hour. I was wondering if you're available. Mind you, in the point that I've been in my journey, I know the kind of musician that I would ideally like to be. Pop rock music, very much influenced by Billy Joel, Taylor Swift, my own Hispanic background, that sort of thing. So when this opportunity arose, I thought to myself, well, is there compensation? Where is it? How far away from home is it? And also, to my own end and benefit, wondering, well, who's the audience? What's the growth opportunity, if any at all? It's only a veterans home. It's something very contained. It's very much their own world. Really, the only benefit that one might seemingly take from that is whatever compensation is proportioned to you. I said yes because is that more oftentimes than not, when you're at a point or in a position where you're not really at risk of losing anything because you haven't really built that much for yourself, go ahead and take that risk. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I might have been a little bit out of some songs in my mind, but I took the opportunity and I went to sing. I think the first time was, it's about to be a year, I think it was in April. They had this event with baseball players. Billy the Marlin from the Marlins showed up and we got to sing, and wow, I couldn't have been more wrong. It made that first impression so wonderful, and the beauty is that it's been able to keep up ever since, even if with less spectacle. If any of you haven't been in a veterans home, it's very much like being in any other sort of assisted living facility where the inhabitants are taken care of, they're rolled in or rolled out, they're catered to whatever degree they can either take care of themselves or somebody else has to come in and do that. It's often been my experience, not just there, but oftentimes that the inhabitants aren't really unruly. They're aware of where they are and they're enjoying the moment as much as they can. And so when you bring in a musician, such as has been the case with me or any others, I would hope, you see attitudes and their emotions change a little bit. I'm not gonna also say that it's a crazy amount, but definitely there's this energy that goes on in the room, and hopefully the more you put in, the more you get out. Yes, I perform in a lot of other venues and a lot of other opportunities, and so I'm able to compare. And just the other day I was having lunch with a friend here. I came to a realization that amongst my most valued performances for me have been in the veterans home, and there's several reasons for that. For example, something that is becoming more and more obvious to me, especially here in South Florida, is that musicians aren't always well compensated. And it seems to be even much more of an issue with jazz musicians. I don't know that I would label myself a purely jazz musician, but I do recognize that I sing songs and music and repertoire that fall within jazz, but more jazz pop, but that's another conversation. However, at this veterans home, through the way that it works, being a contractor for, I think it's the veterans department, it is not bad. I'm not a millionaire by any means of it. It's a win-win for everybody involved. It's been my profession, I don't put into question the value that is being put upon me, which then makes my performance that much more enriching. Fulfillment. The veterans, they've been nothing but just receptively warm. Something that I've learned, elderly folk, they're not always the most expressive individuals. I think music kind of has this capacity to reach into you, into whatever degree you are, through whatever you might be going through. Even if it just takes you away for a couple of seconds, and I think that that I'm able to achieve that with this audience. It often tends to be the same veterans. I recognize many of them now. I joke around. The folk to my left, I call them oftentimes table number one, because they tend to be amongst the most attentive and reciprocative. I remember Herb. There's actually another one, Charlie. He asked me for a song, and I told him, I'm sorry, I'll sing it to you next month. Then the next month came by. Hey, I'll sing you a song. He said, well, I mean, it's fine if you don't, but hopefully you learn it soon. I might be dead. When I go back to perform the next month, he wasn't there. Oh my gosh. I told my family, they couldn't, like, Marco, you're gonna go to hell. Maybe not that, but fortunately, he's been back ever since. He's fine, and I got to sing the song, and it went well. But it starts becoming like a family. They stop becoming just faces in an empty room, but rather they're parts of your day that you're really looking forward to. It's usually at the last Friday of every month. Another elderly veteran who goes there to volunteer, and he tells me, hey, it might not look like they're enjoying themselves, but they're having the time of their life, and you have no idea what you're doing for them, and it pays for itself. This isn't just any crowd. These are the veterans of the United States of America, and I'm an immigrant from Venezuela, and so, I mean, the least that I can do is definitely give them the best that I can through music, and it's just value that I don't find very often in a lot of performances. Like, I make the value for myself when I perform, and be it whether I learn or making sure that I have a good time, but that level of connection. And lastly, it's good practice. More times than not, I would say 9.5 times out of 10, an audience wants you to do well. There are very few times where an audience, especially when they pay for it, that they want you to do a poor job at whatever you're gonna do, because then it'd be a waste of everybody's time. But that's not the case here. I mean, mind you, these veterans and other folk at different assisted living facilities, it's not like they have necessarily high demands. Many people are still cognitive and aware, and they have the ability to enjoy or not enjoy music. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. You have to bring your best. Why else would you not? And so, I know that this might not be a very high in demand performance, but I'm gonna treat it like the last performance of my life. In what can you practice? What can you rehearse? Letting loose. You can rehearse letting yourself be free. You can rehearse engaging with your audience. Yes, it's a more delicate audience in some degrees, but it doesn't mean that they're any less of an audience. They're listening just as much as other people are. So it's a wonderful, more so than practice, experience to have. So tying it all up together, I'm so glad that I've taken up performing for the veterans. I do it every Friday, and it's something that I honestly look forward to every single time. If you're considering a performance that might not be all that appealing to you, don't throw it out just yet. More chances are not, unless you know that performance will lead you to certain doom, it's probably worth doing. You will be able to weigh out your necessities and what you need to make it happen, and how feasible it is for you, and however term of a duration that you can make it. But I think it's definitely more valuable to crack open that book, throw yourself into that performance, than to just look it from the top and be like, I don't know about that. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I'd love to know what you have to say. Do you have any performances that you're unsure of, or do you have any stories of a performance that you thought would be it's gonna be kind of weird? And I've been there, just a couple of people, but that's also for another video. It's quality, not quantity. Please comment, like, subscribe. I'll be coming out with more videos, more stories very soon. Take care.